Okay, we're live. Hi everyone, it's Izzy again. Today I've got a special guest with me, Naomi, and I've got Sarah and Carl again today. And we're talking about how food affects kind of our well-being and our mood, energy levels. So yeah, I'm gonna kick off with Carl if you'd like to say something about how food can affect our mood.
So for me, I've almost had issues with food in the past where I can either, how to word this, I can either, if I'm feeling really down, I can go grab a bar of chocolate and it makes me feel good. But then if I have a bar of chocolate and make me feel good, I then have something else and it'll make me feel not so good. So food can impact me positively like that. And then you think about how it can make you feel negatively. If you're on a diet or you're following a diet or something, then you could not feel fulfilled by what you're having for any particular reason, and that can then have a negative impact on your mood.
Yeah, it's interesting you use chocolate because that's a really good example because there's lots of things in there. Chocolate actually naturally is something that really boosts your emotions on a physical, biological level because it's got, forgive me, I'm sure somebody can tell me what the magic ingredient is in the cocoa bean that actually stimulates that feel-good factor. It's supposed to be sort of similar to sex. Apparently, I read that in research, that it gives off this feeling in the one part of your brain. Is it serotonin?
Serotonin, no. I think it's serotonin.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure what the science behind it, but
yeah, and it does stimulate your brain. It is that feel good factor. And yeah, so it's an interesting one that lots of people reach for. I guess with any food, it's about quantity and quality at the end of the day, isn't it? Because dark chocolate on its own, which I love, because I'm not a big chocolate fan. I know that's weird, but I don't actually. I've got a bit more of a savoury thing going on. So cheese, wine, and olives is my thing. I'm not that bothered about chocolate, but I do like dark chocolate. And yeah, I think too much of anything, it's all about balance, isn't it? Especially when we're eating. And I think you mentioned about diet there, Carl, as well, because the whole diet culture can be quite harmful to more of our mindset and our well-being than the actual process of eating food, if you see what I mean. That's my thought anyway, just from what you've just said there. But yeah, chocolate.
Yeah, to tag on to that, I got two things. So one, chocolate, yeah, people crave it a lot of the times for the other nutritional values that it has. A lot of times it's actually magnesium. So magnesium deficiency can cause chocolate cravings. So that's a fun one to know if you ever feel the craving, but you don't necessarily want to reach for the sugary treats. Going for a magnesium supplement can really help bring that craving down. And then the other thing is that chocolate also has antioxidants, at least dark chocolate does.
Yes.
Especially cacao has a lot of antioxidants, which are really important for people who are dealing with trying to balance their mental wellness, because what really happens is we end up being depleted of those antioxidants when the body's fighting potentially some foods that we give it that aren't necessarily good for it, that then cause inflammation. So our antioxidants are spent fighting that inflammation. And then if we add, a replenishment of that through quality dark chocolate, then that'll help boost our antioxidants to leave us feeling much better.
Yeah, I think most food groups have, I don't want to use the term good and bad foods because I don't like that myself, but I think chocolate can be given a bit of a bad name, really, can't it? When actually there are aspects of chocolate that are really good for us.
Absolutely.
So I'm with the chocolate there, Carl. So Izzy, what about you?
What about chocolate? Well, yeah, I always reach for chocolate as a kind of mood booster. Yeah, definitely. I think it definitely can boost my mood for sure. What other food groups would you say kind of boost mood.
That's a good one.
Anything really with antioxidants in it, those are wonderful for mood, especially when we are depleted of them. And I keep wanting to come back to that, the connection between the brain and the gut and how eating certain things can really affect that. So I'm sure, many of us have heard about this brain gut connection before, and how, when we add or give ourselves something to eat that the body doesn't like processed foods or alcohol or sugars, things like that, that it tells the brain that there's something going on, that there's some, danger in the gut, and that then spurs anxious thoughts, sometimes anxious feelings as well. So that's what we want to kind of counter by eating things that serve us, that, replenish those antioxidants that can be spent fighting those free radicals from eating processed foods.
It's interesting because Carl said something last week, just at the end of our last live. I don't know if you remember, Carl, but you said, when you eat crap, you actually feel crap.
Yeah.
So that ties in really well with that. I mean, I'm quite happy to share that on a Friday, it's crap night in our house. We'll eat whatever, crisps, chocolate, pizza, whatever it is that we fancy, intuitively to eat. And I'm just a bit more mindful the rest of the week. I do plan meals and I try and get it as balanced as possible, not just for me, but for my children and my husband. And I try and have meat, fish, veg and all that. But I still enjoy the beige from time to time because I don't want to tell myself that I can't have it, because that to me, because I've been there. I used to do dieting when I was in my teens and earlier. Well, not earlier, probably a bit later on before I got married and stuff like that. And I just found it really hard going for my well-being and my mindset at the time. It can be done properly. I'm not dissing it. If you've got nutritional coaches and you've got fitness professionals that know what they're doing and all that sort of thing, that's totally fine. And if it's for your own health and well-being, totally get it. But the usual big ones that we see advertised on the TV and stuff like that, I had serious trouble with those. It didn't make me feel very good at all. It was only short-lived anyway, because afterwards I just put the weight back on, which is what happens if you don't do it slowly, properly, and with help, with the exercise and everything like that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, most diet trends nowadays are really geared toward just a 24-hour hormone cycle, which is only, representative of men. So women with our changing caloric needs throughout our infradian cycle, the menstrual cycle, we need to be eating differently. So when we're doing these kind of like caloric diets, like IF, intermittent fasting or keto, those are ones that can really not serve women if we're not, like you said, Sarah, working with a professional who knows how to help us through those humps. Yeah,
because there are times when you may need to lose weight for health reasons, or maybe you have medical conditions. So I'm not knocking diets per se. I'm knocking the diet culture that feeds us in society a lot. What about you, Carl? Because you train quite a lot. So has your diet changed?
So I lost, Amy, you won't know this, but last year I lost 84 pounds. Through training and diet. And then I got to September when I'd lost that weight, and to be honest, I was absolutely flattened. I felt mentally and physically wiped out. So I kind of rebelled and went against that, and I started eating the crap again.
Yeah,
the stuff that wasn't much good for me, and I'm back on a positive cycle again now. But it does have the food you eat has a massive impact on on the way you feel. So if I have a diet of porridge oats for breakfast, a soup for lunch, and meat and some vegetables for my dinner, all unprocessed foods, all homemade soup as well, unprocessed foods. The next day I'll go for a run and I'll feel really good. I feel tip top of myself. I won't feel hungry, and I feel great. If the next day after that I have a kebab and a couple of cans of beer and some chips or something, the next day when I go for my run, I feel lethargic, and then I feel, not only will I feel lethargic on my run, I'll feel worse mentally because I feel as though I've done myself an injustice through not behaving myself diet wise.
Yeah. It's interesting you say behave yourself when you're talking about eating. It's just food, it's fuel, it's what we need. But it's interesting how we associate words. I mean, I said crap, didn't I? But you know what I mean? So I'm doing it myself. But we do have this association with food. Even the words we use when we speak, like the word fat. I mean, if you look up fat in a dictionary, it's about amino acids, it's about cells, it's a biological thing. But yet society's used it as a negative thing to taunt people and to say that one body's better than another. And it's, you know, the whole diet thing and eating and whatnot is, it is fueled a lot by society for sure. And I think sometimes we need to remember that at the end of the day, it is food. It has changed from when we were chasing our food with a spear and picking stuff off bushes and whatnot, but we have definitely got more choice, and therefore we've got more chance of being indulgent, haven't we, and enjoying different things. But yeah, I love food. I like cooking as well. So cooking from scratch is brilliant. Carl, do you cook? Is it you that cooks?
I love cooking. Yeah, I love cooking. I can smell what my wife's cooking for me as we speak.
Go on.
I can't. I think it's some kind of pasta sauce from the smell of it.
What about you, ladies? Do you like cooking?
I do. I enjoy cooking very much. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy cooking too, but obviously I have to buy kind of cheap things.
Oh, bless you. The student life. I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh.
What about like energy levels? How do you say food kind of impacts there? Anyone?
Well, you wouldn't run a Ferrari on diesel.
That's a good analogy.
I'm not describing myself like a Ferrari. I'm just saying that when I eat rubbish, I feel rubbish, and I perform rubbish. If I eat well, I perform well.
Yeah, it's down to the nutritional value in stuff that we put in our mouth, isn't it? And I think because you mentioned process, Carl, and cooking from scratch, and I think it is about. It's not about eating raw or anything like that, unless you want to, of course. But I think it's just trying to make stuff for yourself and just try and use ingredients as near to their original state as possible, I would say. I mean, I like vegetables. I also like meat and fish and things like that. So I do try and eat more vegetables. Personally, I wouldn't be able to go full vegetarian. I'll probably manage 3 weeks, and then after that, I'd probably. Although don't they say you adapt? You can adapt, can't you? Your taste buds adapt and things like that. Is any of you guys vegetarian or have a certain way of eating?
Yeah, I'm plant-based. I've been eating this way for about 4 years, and I can say that it's done wonders for my mental wellness.
Cool. So just explain to everybody.
Yeah, so plant-based whole food diet is basically I try to eat things in their original form as much as possible. I do cook things, especially, vegetables that have more nutrition when you steam them or, prepare them a certain way. I just try to steer away from animal products in general, especially ones that are highly processed. That being said, sometimes I do still have dairy, especially when with friends, it's just easier that way. But I tune into really knowing how things make me feel. So I know that certain types of dairy just don't sit well with me. So I just, I avoid those. And that's usually like how I help other women too, is just helping them tune into how foods make them feel. Because like we said here in this call already, there aren't like good and bad foods. They're different for us individually. And I think that's the key, is knowing what makes us feel good and not necessarily having to identify with any kind of trend or saying like, oh, I only eat this way, but just knowing instead what is good for me.
Yeah. So I'm guessing that's a little bit, I'm not big on it because I want to get involved. So I'm presuming that that's more to do with intuitive eating. So it's about how it makes you feel.
Yes.
As opposed to just the actual choices that you reach for. So I've found, because I've been attempting to eat intuitively for the last 2 years, I would say, and it taught me quite a few things. So it's just being about mindful about what you're eating and when I'm eating it, and then how I feel, and am I actually hungry from my tummy, not from here, because that's been my biggest thing. I only eat when my tummy tells me, for the most part. I still snack from time to time. I'm not flipping perfect, but I do try and eat when my tummy's telling me I need to eat. And I've tuned into more for when I actually feel full, because sometimes it sounds daft, you can forget, or you can eat through it. Does anybody understand what I mean by that? Because I'm just thinking about my old habits. So I've just tried to think about what I'm eating. Do I want it? Am I actually hungry? And I ask my stomach sometimes, I go, what do you fancy? You're going to think I'm mental, but I do sometimes. And I think, right, I really want some vegetables today. I really want some fruit. Maybe I want some fish. Drink more water. I really need to do that. But then other days I'll think, well, I will have a glass of wine, or I will have that cheese today, or whatever. So I'm trying to eat without the guilt. I think that's what I'm trying to say, and not have any problem. I'd improve my relationship with food. I think that's probably the best thing to say.
Do you know, I think I've got a poor relationship with food because I don't feel, particularly at the minute while I'm trying to lose more weight, I don't feel as though I'm eating because I want to eat. I'm eating because I'm eating because I need to eat. If you know what I mean. I'm not enjoying what I'm eating.
Oh. Are you training for something, Carl?
I've got another Ironman coming up.
Okay. So there's a lot of protein.
A lot of grains, a lot of meat.
So maybe
I'd kill for a pack of crisps and a chocolate bar.
Okay. So so you have to, there's certain, because I don't understand what your regimen is, and you know what I mean. So I'm respecting that, but I just wondered, is it you have to eat certain things every day at certain times in certain proportions, or?
No, it's a calorie control diet that I'm following.
Oh,
and
okay.
It's not really a diet; it's more of a way of life. But it's just on restrict, being in a calorie deficit. I'm finding it a bit difficult at the minute, but this week's been a better week.
So you're having to do exercise as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess it's just it's finding that happy balance, isn't it?
Yeah. And timing. When do you eat your dinner, Carl?
12 o'clock.
In the middle of the night? That's when you eat dinner?
No, midday.
Oh, sorry, that might be just a language thing. Then when do you eat supper?
My tea. I have my tea about 5 o'clock.
Okay, and when do you eat your latest meal of the day?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I know with some people will eat our biggest meal later on in the day, so at like 7 or 8, and that can end up staying in the gut and then causing like acid reflux and bloating and things, and potential weight gain. So that's good that that's not something that you're dealing with.
Yeah. Well, most of the time anyway. When I'm not working late.
Yeah, that's it. Life gets in the way, doesn't it?
Sure does.
Yeah. I read somewhere because I read, surprisingly. To eat like a king, the breakfast you should eat like a king, lunch you should eat like a prince, and dinner you should eat like a pauper. So you have the quality and the bulk in the morning, and then you get less as you go in the day. And apparently that's supposed to help your metabolism and also your well-being in general.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I've got to say, probably, I don't know if it's our country or if it's most countries, that we tend to have the bigger meal at night, don't we?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. It's so the reason to eat your bigger meal earlier on is, like you said, it's your metabolism. So your digestive fires are high until mid-afternoon. Then around 6, they start lowering or going down. So if you're still feeding it later on in the day and you can't metabolize it, then that just turns into excess. So that's the thing there.
The thing is, though, I'm not a big breakfast fan. That's apart from when I go on holiday, I do eat like a king because I'm not having to make it. Everybody else, when we do get back to going on holiday, I eat that breakfast buffet bar like a flipping trooper, I tell you.
I love that complimentary breakfast too. But that's what lunch is supposed to be your biggest meal, because that's when your metabolism's highest. So if you're not eating a lot of breakfast, don't worry about it. Eat a lot of lunch.
Right then.
That's interesting.
Right, if you've given me permission, I shall.
You got it. It's yours.
Oh, I don't know. Food it's a tricky one, isn't it? We have a lot of funny relationships with food individually, I think. We all like what we like, and we know what we like, and we know what we don't like.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah. So then, Izzy, what are you having for tea then?
It's in my fridge, to be honest.
Oh, I remember those days. Noodle for me when I was at uni.
It's a lot of improvisation, basically.
Yeah. Well, it's not forever. It's only for now.
We've got a comment from Dale Hudson. He says, we are all unique and respond to different foods in different ways. Some foods may not make you feel as good as others. Eating at regular times of the day may work for you, and avoiding certain foods may improve your moods. A good way to see what works for you is to keep a food diary where you write down what you eat and make notes about how you're feeling. Over time, you might work out how particular foods make you feel worse or better, keep you awake, or help you sleep. Does anyone keep a food diary here?
Ooh.
I do.
Oh. Cool. And what have you seen from that?
I'm a man of habit. So I've had porridge oats for breakfast, nearly every breakfast for about 8 months. I've had homemade soup nearly every lunch for similar time. My tea, I tend to mix it up a bit.
Cool. Well, if it works for you, then it's fine. Do you know what I mean? It's like the chap said, it's about being individual. I did a bloat diary because I used to get quite bad bloat after I had my children. And I used to think it was bread because you can have a problem with gluten and processing gluten and stuff like that. So I thought it might be that. It actually turned out that I was feeling worse after I'd had a cup of tea or milk or cereal or loads of cheese. So I switched my milk to soya, and I haven't had any problems since, apart from now and again if I have, chips from the chip shop, or I have a pizza that's not gluten-free or something like that. And it's made a world of difference. And that was just from being quite mindful about a certain thing that was going on, that it was really uncomfortable. So yeah, it's little tweaks, isn't it? And since then as well, I've decided to eat sourdough bread because it seems to have less of an effect as well. So little changes from just having a diary can make all the difference, Carl, for sure.
Yeah.
So there you go. I've told you all about my bloat problem. It's now public. Oh well, I don't care. It's fine. Cool. So has anybody else got anything?
Well, does anyone know anything about caffeine, how that can have an effect on mood?
I think caffeine's a depressant, isn't it?
Well, it's a stimulant for most people, but because of how acidic it is, it can cause gut problems, which then tells the mind that there's something going on. So that can definitely alter your mood. Another way that it affects people because of its stimulation is it'll make your heart rate go up, and then that feels like panic, which then is telling the mind once again that there's something going on, and so it can definitely affect mood that way too, just by altering your heart rate.
Is that the jitter thing?
That's the jitter thing. Yep.
Yeah, because when I was at corporate, obviously we had coffees all the time because you do. There's a coffee machine. It's your only break to get up to go and have a coffee. This is like 10 years ago. And I didn't realise, I know it's only little cups, but it used to make me feel like this all day.
Yeah.
So now I just have one strong Italian in the morning. Oh, that sounded weird. I shouldn't have said that. One strong cup of coffee in the morning, and then I don't have anything for the rest of the day because it gives me the jitters if it's a strong one.
Same. I switched to just mushroom-based coffee, and sometimes I'll do green tea. I don't do coffee anymore unless it's a special occasion and it's early in the day.
Mushroom-based coffee?
Yeah, so medicinal mushrooms, they're so huge right now in the US. Not magic mushrooms, although those are amazing too, but probably not something we can talk about right now. But medicinal mushrooms, so things like chaga, reishi, lion's mane, cordyceps, these are all different mushrooms that help improve your mental wellness by the different things that it does, like from affecting your immune response to lowering your heart rate to improving endurance. Mushrooms are just so amazing, and I highly recommend checking them out. I hope they're a thing in the UK somewhere, but they're really great for energy.
I might have to write it. What's it
I'm
called?
writing it down. Mushroom coffee.
Mushroom coffee, yeah. So I don't know the brands there, but there's one called OM, so OM mushroom. That one's amazing. That's the one I use. And then the mushrooms themselves, so lion's mane, cordyceps, that one's a hard one to spell. I can put it in the comments later. Reishi and chaga. Those four are the big ones.
Oh my goodness. I need to I've got to try mushroom coffee now.
Please do. It's amazing.
I'm sure some nutritional sort of shop will sell it, won't they? We're a bit behind here sometimes, I think. Right, brilliant.
Well, we've done 27 minutes, so we can wrap it up here.
Yeah. All right.
I've learned so much. Thank you very much, everybody.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. This was so fun. Connect with me. I'd love to talk more.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you. Definitely.
Awesome.